Morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Commissioners meeting this morning. If you will join me for a moment of silent prayer, and do the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comments. Mr. Claggett.
Morning. My name is John Claggett. I reside at 108 J Lane, Providence, North Carolina. I would like this statement recorded verbatim. October 3rd, 2022, I came before this board and publicly asked what happened to the countywide code red emergency alerts. That public question is part of your contents of your public agenda today. On November 1st, 2022, having not received any response from the county, I emailed the clerk to the board and copied you board members. I once again inquired about my public question concerning the status of the countywide code red emergency alerts, and to date have received nothing. A year ago, I was assured by the county manager that the practice of sending these alerts had not been abandoned. So today, November 7th, 2022, I have two public questions for this board. One, why are the questions from the public being ignored by this board? And two, what happened to the well-working countywide code red emergency alerts that were once provided by Cadwell County Emergency Management?
Mr. Ed Daughtry.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Ed Daugherty. I live at 2685 Ridgeville Road in Prospect Hill. Just the fact that I'm here this morning speaks to the very important right of the citizens to be recognized and heard by their elected and appointed officials. The reason that I'm here is to shed light on what was seen as an effort to silence the citizens of this county and deprive us of our free speech rights to be heard. I'm one of 59 citizens that filed an appeal to the stormwater and watershed permits that the county issued on January 5th of 2021. We followed all procedure, submitted our appeals in a timely manner, proper manner, and in good faith. The hearing of those appeals, which should have technically occurred within 90 days, has now been delayed for nearly a year and a half. The primary excuse for that delay was a strategic lawsuit against public participation, also known as a SLAPP suit, against the very citizens that you gentlemen represent. That lawsuit was dismissed this past August. This should allow our appeals to proceed at last. Instead, and for some unforeseen reason, the county, through the Watershed Review Board, has decided to entertain a motion to dismiss our hearings before they can be heard. All parties were given until 10/28 to respond to that motion, and through our attorney, we have filed a very thorough response, citing plenty of law case to why we should be heard. It's important. The most distressing issue, what brings me here this morning, is the fact that Caswell County, through your representative attorney, filed a motion in support to dismiss our appeals unheard, and without first even seeing our response to the county. The only thing they cited, the county's attorney has cited, was the motion submitted by Carolina Sunrock. Now, the county had three options at this point. They could file in support of that motion, they could file against that motion, or the proper thing to have done would have been abstain from that. That would have been the proper and impartial thing to do. Regardless of whether he acted independently or at your direction, he speaks for you. He speaks for this county. To rob the county, to have the county support the motion to dismiss is not only highly prejudicial, it comes off as an effort to silence the citizens. It's prejudicial to the process. It robs us of our right to be heard. And again, it comes across as an attempt to silence the citizens. That's flat out wrong. It's undemocratic, it's unfair, and it's un-American. And after what we endured this past year and a half, we deserve at the very minimum to be heard, to have our rights upheld and have our appeals finally heard at last. Thank you.
Thank you.
Recognitions. Does anybody on the board have any recognitions? If not, we will move on to approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I need to add closed session to the agenda. Item number 143-318, period 11, parentheses A, parentheses 3, to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body or to reserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor will do roll call voting. Mr. Dickerson. Mr. Howell. Mr. Jeffries. Mr. Owen. Mr. Oakhart. Mr. Madden. Ms. Bay, motion carries. Approval of the consent agenda, A through C. So moved.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask the county manager to explain the budget amendment?
Yes, sir.
I read it out.
Yes, sir, I'm happy to. The $20,000 you see on your budget amendment is the money this board appropriated at your last meeting to Paul Robinson and Alice Robinson to their 501c3 to help with the feeding programs. The $14,000 you see for solid waste are rollover funds that were appropriated in last fiscal year, and because of non-delivery of the vehicle that that was ordered during that fiscal year, the money to outfit the vehicle needed to be rolled over into this fiscal year to outfit the vehicle.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll do roll call voting on approval of the consent agenda. Mr. Dickerson. Mr. Howell. Mr. Jeffries. Mr. Owen. Mr. Massengill. Bay, motion carries. Discussion items. Munis update is happening.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Thank you all for this opportunity to speak to you this morning. I wanted to give you some updates concerning Munis. Of course, Munis is our financial accounting software that we converted to in November of 2020, 5 months prior to me becoming finance director. As many of you are aware, there were numerous errors that occurred during the conversion process. such as our AP vendors not being set up for EFT payments, beginning balances loaded into Munis for July 1st of 2020 were not correct. All the transactions from July, August, September, October of 2020 were not entered into Munis. Our fixed assets were not loaded into Munis as of July 1st, 2020. And probably the biggest issue we had was that our chart of accounts from our old ACS software program was not converted correctly into Munis in July of 2020. There was some issues with that. There were some consolidations that were made and some things that were rerouted incorrectly. These are just a few of the difficulties that we've encountered along the way. We are still in the process of fixing some of these problems, but I am very happy to report that many of these issues that occurred during the conversion have been corrected. And we are very close to having all of these issues resolved. We believe that we are very close to being able to provide accurate information to our auditing firm in order to complete our 2021 audit. However, aside from the conversion problems that we've encountered, we are now experiencing multiple issues that seem to relate more to the software itself rather than the conversion. These include support tickets going unresolved for 50+ days. What I mean by that is I'm not saying that we are being ignored by Tyler Support. They have just not been able to find a resolution to the problem that we're having specifically. And that issue is entering our miscellaneous. I'm sorry. Is there a comment? Question? Mainly miscellaneous receipts from our deposits that are made. They're not being able to enter those into Munis. What happens with that is our departments make daily deposits. That's a statute that we must follow. Cash, checks, those deposits have to be made daily. So we are making those deposits. Each department makes their own deposits, and those are happening. What is not happening is being able to enter those transactions into the software. So we're not able right now to upload any documentation, attachments. We're getting error messages, and this has been going on for almost 50 days now. We have escalated the ticket many times. I have probably had between myself and Munis software support probably over 100 emails at this point since it's been going on. They've tried several fixes, but as of right now, we're still not able to enter these receipts. So what we are having to do in order to try to make sure that everything is entered, we are doing journal entries into the system in order to get these transactions to show up in our balances. And when we do these journal entries, we're using the receipts that the departments provide us as documentation, and we upload those attachments. It's not an ideal situation, but it does balance the books and it helps us to know where we are until we can get this resolved. So that's one of the biggest issues that we're having right now. During the months of September and October of this year, there were more than 20 tickets opened with Tyler Support just by the finance department alone, not including any other departments out there. And some other issues that we have that seem to be recurring issues either on a weekly or monthly basis. Invoice entry being down, not being able to access that screen. Requisitions down, purchase orders down, account central, vendor central down. Most of the time, these particular issues are system-wide. But periodically, we have found that sometimes they're just our account-wide throughout our departments. These are just some of the problems that we've encountered recently with our finance software. We've also encountered multiple problems with the payroll software as well, but currently I am happy to report there are no outstanding tickets on the payroll side. And just to make you aware, we are holding an invoice from Tyler Technologies in the amount of $94,000 until we can get some type of resolution to this 50-day ticket. So we have been in contact with Munis Software Support to discuss how we need to proceed from there. We're happy to answer any questions that you have, but we wanted to make you aware of what was going on and some of the issues that we were having that are affecting the finance department, but not just us, it's affecting all departments.
Mr. Chairman, I got some questions.
Okay.
And I might mess up some of them because I was trying to take notes that you were speaking. So you said the conversion issue that we had starting back a year or so ago, we've got them correct, or most of them correct.
For the most part, yes, sir.
What's outstanding?
We are still trying to finalize the 2021 numbers, the converted amounts, the ending balances in July of 2020 to get those proper amounts over into Munis. So we're in the final stages of that now. That's the main thing that we're working on. The chart of accounts, we're still working out a few kinks with those, making sure that everything is routed where it's supposed to go. But we are on the tail end of that as well.
Okay, I'll have to hop around some, but that comment, those comments, that means, at least to me, we are likely to have some 22, 23 audit issues if we haven't gotten 21 finalized.
It's a possibility.
Okay. And then you say we've got software issues. And these tickets, I guess those are requests for help.
Yes.
From the vendor. And we've got some that's plus 50 days outstanding.
We have one that is, yes, sir.
We have one.
We have one. We have several that are open, but they've only been open for a few days. Most of the time, the issues are resolved in a timely manner, but for some reason, this one item, they cannot tower support. Apparently, according to the emails that I've been receiving and contacts that I've made, they don't know exactly what has happened and why our deposit receipts are not being able to be uploaded. They are trying to do several fixes. They have done, I think, 3 or 4 updates to try to fix it. And as of right now, it's still not working. So they've got all hands on deck on that one.
So when you say things are being handled in a timely manner, what's time?
It depends on the situation.
On average,
Within 24 hours.
okay. Okay, now, I'm gonna try to get to all of mine. The journal entries
Yes, sir.
for deposits. The departments make the deposits daily.
Yes, sir.
According to the daily deposit act. And they pass the information to finance. And because it won't order, we can't put it in the system. We have to do these annual journal entries.
Yes, sir.
to get them in our system. How do we know that we have them all?
We have to make sure that when we receive our bank statements, that we're checking everything off of the bank statement that's showing deposited and making sure that that's inputted into Munis. So one, we double check with the departments, and two, we double check with the bank statement.
Okay, so we only get the bank statements monthly.
We can access the online banking system daily and pull transactions.
Okay, good. The $94,000 in the hail.
Yes, sir.
How much was the total cost of software?
I want to say, it was-
Mr. Manager can answer.
I think it was over.
I may be able to answer. Give me just a moment.
Somebody probably have a good idea of what we're paying for this software.
While he's looking for that, can I ask a question? You said some of this was system-wide.
Yes. Meaning,
System-wide, meaning everybody with Munis has got the same problem.
yes, sir.
How many places use Munis?
There are right many counties. I don't know an exact figure, but I would say probably 25% of the counties,
Okay, and
municipalities.
have you or anybody on whomever asked any of the other counties, has this ever happened to you guys?
Yes, sir.
And the answer was?
Not with the deposit receipt situation, but with these other issues such as the certain screens being down, Account Central not being able to pull information, requisitions being down, those things happen pretty regularly.
Pretty regularly for everybody?
Yes, sir.
And we're paying how much in maintenance and upkeep every month? You don't know that either? That's okay.
100% sure, but that 94,000 is an annual figure.
Well, I would suggest that we also renegotiate the maintenance with them. If they're not gonna continue to support us in a timely manner and fix it,
Right.
we're always having problems. That's not much of a maintenance agreement.
Total contract price was $455,796, 455,796. But that was for finance, payroll, and HR.
Or any of the other, you said finance, payroll, and HR. Is payroll and HR having any issues?
We have had some issues in payroll with both the payroll side and ExecuTime, the timekeeping system. But those issues have been resolved, and currently we don't have anything ongoing with that.
I'm assuming you've gone to the biggest dog you can find in the fight to save.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We've escalated this up way past the sales team into the people that, so the error that they're receiving that's more than 50 days old, it's a, correct me if I'm wrong, Jennifer, but I believe it's a runtime error. Okay, is that correct?
That is one of the errors that we received, but that's not the actual error that we're getting with the miscellaneous receipts. It's a different error.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that it has an actual name for this error.
So these runtime errors that they're receiving periodically, their runtime is basically a programming error. So somewhere within the programming of the system, there's an error. And that's what's concerning to me is when the programming is right, the system's not going to work right. And it's just runtime errors. We shouldn't have runtime errors. at this point.
And I feel like some of the other issues that we have encountered recently have probably been a direct result from the updates that have happened trying to fix the miscellaneous receipt entry issue. But of course, those have been resolved quickly.
Tammy, you may have just answered my question. I guess the question is, was this thing ever working and then has somehow degraded or had these problems pop up? Or has this just been something going on that you couldn't see because the elephant was much larger than the zebra?
I think that's probably an accurate statement. I think at one time, I mean, the miscellaneous receipt, we were not having any problems with that side of it up until 50 days ago. And then it just stopped just like that. But periodically they will do updates to Munis, to the software, Tower Technologies. And I think, and I am not IT by no means, but I feel like that whatever the last update they did, it was shortly thereafter that we stopped being able to enter our receipts. And so I'm wondering if that could have caused a bigger issue.
Could they back that update out?
They say that they are trying everything to figure out what's going on.
I assume this board is probably not going to fix your problems. But thank you for trying.
Jennifer, you made the statement you're close to completion to get the 2021 thing.
Yes.
Could you define close?
I can't actually give a time frame, but we had a joint meeting with the CPA firm Friday, and it was extremely progressive. We have a goal. We have some work that we need to do. Melissa and I are doing some work now that once we get that taken care of and get that to the CPA firm, they will be able to finish with our beginning balances that should have come from ACS over to Munis that didn't come over correctly. Once we get that information into ACS and then get it imported over into Munis, we should be good to go with the audit.
Are any of these issues you're having today influencing that particular audit?
As far as
You've been able to come up with the numbers you want? No, okay,
totally separate.
thank you.
Ms. Hammond,
Yes, sir.
not an accountant, and I keep hearing this issue brought back up and all the questions going back and forth. In simple layman terms, what needs to be done to rectify this situation? What do you see as light at the end of the tunnel now? From the audit that's overdue to all the other issues, what is the solution?
That is an excellent question, and I do not have all the answers at this time, but I feel like we are moving in the right direction. I think the biggest issue that we have had has been the conversion, the software conversion. I think that has been the root of all of our problems as far as not being able to get the audit done. Once we get the 2021 audit behind us, everything that we're doing now, we should be good. It should all flow. Up to this point, it hasn't flowed very well.
Jennifer,
Yes, sir.
can you talk a little bit about the test environment and then the environment you're running now and who's doing the test environment? And explain that to me.
Okay. There are 3 different environments within Munis. There is a test environment, a train environment, and then a production. Currently, we are working in production. That's where everybody in all departments, with everything for 2022, 2023 is being entered, is in production. The train environment is designated for when people are new to the system and learning how to operate the system. And the test environment is designed, if you want to go in and test something that you're doing, say you're going to do a budget amendment, make sure that it's going to post everything correctly to the right spot. you can go into the test environment and do a trial run first, and it doesn't affect anything in production. Same thing for training, it's totally separate. But they can update, test and train so that it does match what's in production. So currently our CPA firm is working in our test environment with 2021 because you cannot have more than 2 years open at one time in Munis. So right now we have the 21-22 year open, and we have the 22-23 year open in production. So in order to open 22-23, 2021 had to be closed in production. So we moved it to test. And that's where the CPAs are working from right now, is from the test environment. So once they get all of their numbers in and make sure that everything is balanced, then we can update the test environment, and the production environment will match the test environment. The numbers should be correct.
So just to answer your question, Commissioner Dickerson, that's kind of how we're approaching it. We're letting CPAs work in the test environment until their work is done. Then that's rolled over into the live production environment, and it becomes part of our actual system and our numbers. That's the way we're approaching it, to try to get everything taken care of as far as Munis is concerned.
In all of the work that has been taking place, is any evidence of wrongdoing, investment, anything like that came to light?
Have our IT department been involved in all this process?
Yes, sir, they have been. We've been working very closely with Jason and Chloe and now Emily. Whenever we open tickets to Tyler Support, we send them copies so that they are aware that there's something going on in the system.
I mean, the actual implementation, conversion will be involved.
Now, that was before they were here. David.
We had an IT person, we had at least one.
We did, we had one. And
Okay, so Jennifer wasn't part of that process. What I can tell you is David Norris, our IT director at that time, was very involved in the process. He actually went in and configured a lot of the chart of accounts and so on and so forth as he was directed to do so. So he actually was very involved in the conversion to be.
So the joint account problem we had, IT worked on it. I dealt with it, I set it up.
Yes, IT was working with that, yes.
Any more questions? If not, thank you, ma'am.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Action items, the feeding programs for senior and capital.
Commissioners, this item should have probably been under discussion items too. It probably shouldn't have been listed under action item. But it is, so if you feel like it's necessary to take some action, you can, but it should probably have been under discussion items.
Good morning, Commissioners. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Jenny Everett. I'm the Director of Castle Senior Services.
What is it?
There's something else on. I think it's the shredder.
Very good, thank you.
Make sure you use the microphone.
So I understand that there was a question asked during a recent Board of Commissioners meeting regarding monies that the Council Outreach Ministry had requested. And they also mentioned feeding seniors in their presentation. Mr. and Ms. Robinson asked for additional funds to feed children, families, and senior adults in Castle County. I believe the concern was how this affects or how this coincides with Meals on Wheels program. Cows on Meals on Wheels is providing a hot meal 5 days a week. We provide that to about 130 clients right now. We provide approximately 30 hot meals for our congregate clients at the senior center. We also provide about 40 clients with frozen meals. Most of those clients receive the frozen meals because we cannot add them to a route, or they just prefer to do it that way because they have a lot of doctor's appointments. Excuse me, and it's easier for them to get the frozen meals. Outreach Ministries provides meals to some of the same individuals that we provide a Meals on Wheels meal for every day. Their meals are normally provided a couple of times a month, dependent on the funds that they have available to them. Keep in mind that they are providing meals to children and families as well as adults, senior adults, and we only provide for senior adults. Our grant stipulates that we can only do this for those who are 60 plus, and the special circumstances that are available, such as a spouse that is living in the same household or an adult child who is on disability, may receive those meals as well. Of course, we have to have certain paperwork to provide that meal to them. Wanted to just mention Second Harvest as well. Second Harvest Food Bank of Providence has recently received funding from PTRC for the western side of the county, specifically in the area of Casville. We have 10 routes currently throughout Casville County. One of those areas that we have been unable to set up a route is Casville. We have tried for, I know, 20 years now to get the volunteers, Kay Cobb, who was born and raised in that area, trying to help us. We need at least 15 volunteers that are devoted to that. And that's kind of the minimum number in order to be able to run a route in that area. Second Harvest provides a frozen meal once a week to residents in the Casville area. And Second Harvest has noted that the funding that they have received will probably be gone in a year and a half. At that time, Casville Senior Services plans to take over the Casville area and provide a route. I am currently working on a grant to hire a Meals on Wheels driver to help us with that route, as well as help us in times that we are short on volunteers to deliver. In recent months, we have had a shortage of volunteers, and 4 out of 5 full-time employees at the senior center have had to run routes. In August, we had 19 routes that we did not have anybody to cover. So Desiree and myself, along with Dana and Rita, ran those routes. And at times we've had to run 2 routes at one time. That's just to give you an idea of how much of a struggle it has been, especially since COVID, for us to have new volunteers. We will be able to use that part-time driver as well in other capacities, such as being able to provide frozen meals to folks in areas. For example, recently we had a young man call us about his mother. He lives almost on the Virginia line at 119. So it was difficult for him to get, to us to pick up those meals. And of course, it's difficult for us to try to get those meals to them. So that would be an additional piece that we could add in using that driver to help us out. I'll entertain any questions or concerns anybody has at this time.
You mentioned that we have around 30 people getting congregate meals
Yes, sir.
at the center.
Yes, sir.
Has that number gone down over the years?
It has gone down since COVID. Yes, sir. We still have seniors that, in all honesty, are concerned about coming out and being around other people. They are still scared of COVID. We used to average on just about every day, we would average about 50 to 60 people on congregate every day before COVID. Now we have produced postcards that are both for Meals on Wheels and for the congregate that we have been sending out, trying to kind of draw those numbers and pick those numbers back up. We opened back up fully last May of 2021. And it's been a gradual process. We are starting to see those numbers start to pick up a little bit. Meals on Wheels has definitely picked up. We will be looking at that at the end of the year. We currently are underspent in congregate by about $2,000. Excuse me, yes, underspent in congregate by about $2,000. We are overspent in Meals on Wheels at about between $6,000 and $7,000. We will readdress that at the end of the year, and if whatever funds are sitting unspent under congregate, we will move to adjust some of that with Meals on Wheels in January of 2023.
Commissioners, I'll just add that real quickly that these numbers that Janine's talking about are in your agenda packet on a monthly basis in a report that's provided to both the board in their agenda packet and the Piedmont Triad Regional Council. So every month, the first meeting of every month, you'll see these numbers outlined in your agenda packet.
Yes, sir. Madison, I heard her say know how to people should deliver these meals. Is there any way that we can come up with something of fuel for, current bill? I mean, that might be some problematic.
Well, there's a couple of things that the board could do to address this. The board, if it so chose, could support the grant that Ms. Evers has mentioned. The board could also approve county employees providing Meals on Wheels and using some of the transportation that's available to us now through the county. That would cut out the gas, having to pay an employee or resident gas or mileage charges. So there's some things that the board could do. The board could also approve a stipend for residents that wanted to participate in Meals on Wheels and allow them to receive a reimbursement for their gas or for their mileage during that delivery period.
Maybe we have been put out in the papers that we can do this. We need to get it done.
I can't hear you.
I think the senior center has advertised quite a bit that the need for drivers. We have even gone so far as to, when it's really needed on a certain day that she's really low, we have taken county employees and allowed them to run around. So I think that everybody knows drivers are needed. But we're happy to ramp up the advertising for this. If that's what the board would like, we're happy.
Mr. Jeffrey, some of that also has, we've seen it across the state, volunteers being an issue in everything that we do. Meals on Wheels requires all of us across the state, in order to be able to deliver those meals, to have those volunteers. A lot of our volunteers are aging out because they're folks who are older. They are either sick themselves now, or they now have to care for a spouse, or they have to care for a parent. So this has been an issue across the state with that, and also with any kind of committees that we have as well. We have struggled with those volunteers.
How many do you have now?
Right now, I have 100 and I'll say I have 120. And of course, now is the time that a lot of businesses, for example, Piedmont Electric, is going to allow some of their employees to run meals, but it's only like once or twice that they'll do that. We have the credit union helps us. We have in the past had the prison who has helped us with that as well. And what we do is, if they request, we just they provide us a sheet that we sign off on what time the person got there, what time they brought the bags back, and sign off on that and send it back to whoever the employer is.
Any more questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Kyle, Mr. Manager, you're making some options and possibilities. Could you all get your heads together and present some options and possibilities back to the board on how we can address this issue.
We absolutely can. I think it's very interesting, the grant options that are available right now through the senior center and the grant funding that may be available to cover those drivers and reduce the expense that the county would undergo, providing the same type of service. But we'll give you an update at your first meeting in December about, we can, maybe your next meeting in, maybe your second meeting in November, about available options and about how the grant process is going and how we see that playing out.
See, when we have these types of challenges, we have to become more creative and not be concerned about what the rest of the state is doing or using that as a crutch or an excuse. We've got to think beyond where we've been past thinking. We know that the county is aging, so maybe we need to look for some younger drivers. We got a community college over here. Get some drivers from there. They need to support, some money until some grant comes through. We need to do that. I don't want to go to the Council of Governments meeting, and the first thing I hear is that we had to turn back money because we didn't know how to spend it. And that's what I've been hearing for the last 2 or 3 years. I just don't want to hear that anymore. So we've got to face the challenge and do whatever is necessary to make this work.
And Mr. Hall, I just want to say, I have been to PCC. I've been to PCC for years.
That's something like else.
Yes, sir. So I have.
Send on the board members, send the chairman, they can talk to the president over there. You know, these folks got connections. You don't have to do all of the contacts, but you can do a lot of the thinking.
Any more questions? Mr. Miller, if y'all will see what you can come up with on that, bring it back to us and we'll move on.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Voting delegate for legislative goals, let's know.
Commissioners, you have an upcoming meeting where the legislative goals will be decided upon by the NCACC. You need to choose a voting delegate for that. You can also choose an alternate as well. The meeting will be held November 16th through 18th in Wade County at the Marriott Raleigh Crabtree Valley.
I've done that in the past, gentlemen, but I will be out of town that weekend, so I cannot do it.
About you, Mr. Hall.
I like Mr. Owen, have done it in the past. I don't think I'm planning on going right out of town. So I think I can probably do that.
So you think you could do it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we need to pick an alternate?
I think it's up to the board.
I would see
Yes. I would say that. That way, if something happens, yeah.
What date did you say?
November 16th through the 18th.
Sorry. So you're out. Is there any suggestions on alternate? What? Any suggestions on an alternate? Will you do
I'm out of town. Sorry.
it? Change the plans.
Commissioners, if you need an alternate, I'm happy to serve as the alternate if that helps.
Okay. Board approved Mr. Miller being an alternate. All right, we need to do voting on that. Mr. Massengill? We need a motion for Mr. Hall.
Yes, sir.
You making a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, we'll do roll call voting. Mr. Dickerson? Mr. Hall? Mr. Jeffries? Mr. Owen? Mr. Hope? Mr. Massengill? Mr. McVeigh? Motion carries. Commissioner Hall will be your delegate, and Mr. Hill will be your alternate. County manager's update.
Commissioners, I do have a couple of updates for you. I wanted you to know that NCDOT has approached us about a swap of projects. The two projects are North Carolina 14 Kings Highway intersection improvements in Eden for construct. And so the money from that project, because the priority for that project has fallen, priority for the NC 86 from 158 to the Virginia state line has increased, right? So because of the falling in the one project and the increased priority in the other project, they're going to be proposing to swap the funding for those two projects and give the project for, give the money and funding for the Eden project to Caswell County to help address that roadway situation. That will have to be voted on by the RPO. They'll have to formally agree to the swap, and it'll be as an agenda item for the December TAC meeting, and they will be asking for a vote. So I just wanted to make the board aware of that.
Also, Mr. Miller, while you're on that, I am currently on that board, so gentlemen, it will be imperative that whoever takes that board attends that December 3rd meeting to get our vote to get that swap done, to move that as a priority. So just want to make everyone aware of that. I can't remember who the alternate is for that.
Are you unavailable to make the meeting on, when is the meeting?
I thought it was later in December.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Good. That's all. I just want to make sure the board realizes the priority of whoever is appointed to that committee. They need to make sure they attend that meeting.
Okay. Commissioners, I do have one more thing to let the board know about. I kind of want to get some direction from the board on how the board would like to proceed. One of the things that we're encountering quite a bit now is questions about heating bills and oil and whether there's help to address those situations where residents are unable to pay their heating bill. I think this is the last warm day we're going to have scheduled for a while. I know DSS gets those requests. I know the senior center gets those requests. And there is no money allocated in the budget for these kind of requests. I know last year, what happened was, last year or the year before, Jimmy, I can't remember, the board allocated a certain dollar amount to, what's the organization? To the Caswell Fund. And the Caswell Fund distributed those monies through the senior center and the clerk to the board. They both served in roles in that. They did an excellent job in doing that. Do you remember how many people helped?
The last time I looked, I think we were at 2 or 250.
Between 2 and 250 people with their heating bills. So anyway, I don't know how the board wants to proceed or if the board wants to even entertain doing anything moving forward. But we are getting a lot of questions about it.
How much did you give them? How much was in that fund last time?
I think we did 2 different wallets, 2 different times.
And we also work with Milton on the water bills as well. We also helped with you with rent. That were having issues with paying the rent. It was in 2020, when we did the funding, and I honestly, right off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact amount.
I think there were two different tranches of funding, and I think each one was about $10,000.
Mr. Miller, how much money is left in the grant funding that was approved? 100,000 started out.
So yeah, and there's been a lot of questions. I appreciate you bringing that up, Commissioner Dickerson. There's been a lot of questions that I have personally received about that funding. So let me be clear about this. That money rolled back over into the general fund. There was a total of about $200,000 initially. And that $200,000 was greatly underspent after it was appropriated. There was, I think, 130,000 out of the 200,000 went unspent. Since that time, you've probably made appropriations of 20, 30, $60,000. So there's probably, I don't know, $70,000 or $80,000 that would still be left. But let me be clear that that's no longer appropriated. Those are general fund monies. And if the board remembers the way we were doing revenue replacement, those revenue replacement dollars become general fund dollars. So it's no longer appropriated. It's no longer allocated for that purpose. It is general fund dollars. So the questions that I'm receiving are, hey, do you have any leftover COVID money? And to be honest with you, no, we don't have any leftover COVID money because we're entering into the revenue replacement, and all becomes general fund. So, but to answer your question specifically, in theory, it would be $70,000.
Okay, you said you helped approximately 250 people. You remember what the average monies per spent was?
$500.
Approximately
We
$500.
limited it to $500 per person.
And did most of that go to home heating? I heard you say you did some with rent.
We did a few that were rent. Lady, we had a couple who both had COVID and were not working, and we helped them with their daycare and their electric bill. The majority of those, I would say 80 to 85% were electric or gas. Yep.
So you said you limited it to 500, and you said there was about 250 people. Well, that's 125,000. I'm just trying to get in my head.
Yeah, it wasn't quite that much money.
Okay.
So I may have the number that we have a little higher than I thought.
Okay, but if he did 2 tens, we're still.
The original was more, and we also received money from Duke Energy. They also gave some money as well.
Are they going to be able to do that again?
They sent me a check for $2,500 to put into the capital fund, and I've already done 2 electric bills with that.
We can't let our people go covered. We can't let them go without food. That's what this body is here for. And you said to Mr. Dickerson, you have approximately 70,000 in that monies. And fuel oil is gone through the roof this year.
We're happy to bring this back to you. I mean, there's not going to be any substantial need within the next 2 weeks. The bill will come at a separate time.
Come back and give us some figures on maybe how many you've had to ask, maybe how many you've had to ask. I would only be willing to support at this particular point in time, no rent, but just heating.
Sure.
Type thing. I would be willing to support that. I think it's this group's, we do that as a necessity, not as a help you with people.
Well, we're happy to bring that back to you along with the funding streams and we're happy to do that at your next meeting.
Thank you. We'll move on to Commissioner.
Can I ask staff if they would give us an analysis of what was done last time? You told us the numbers, 250. How much rent, how much water, how much this, that, the other. So at least I have a basis for at least thinking of something.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Any more questions? Not, we'll move on to Commissioner comments. Is there anyone have any comments?
Mr. Chairman or Mr. Manager, are we allowed to ask questions to Mr. Daughtry about his, are we allowed to do that?
So as a point of procedure, the board does not usually respond to public comments. If you want to have that on the next agenda, there we can have,
I'll talk to him afterwards. That's right.
thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
based on where Commissioner Massanutten started, I'm quite aware of our procedures. This past summer at the state conference, I went to a communications class. We had all these experts talking about this, that, and the other. And I think one session I was in, Commissioner Owen was in, and the issue came up about public comments. And that we wouldn't respond. And the way this gentleman explained it made sense to me. We ought to respond. And in this particular instance, I think we need to know more, because every time we wait to kick the can down the road, another 2 weeks. And I got questions myself. I don't necessarily want to wait 2 weeks. And I think that Mr. Massanutten, at this point, in this situation, should be able to ask his question so we'll know what it is. Because I got a question I'm going to ask our general counsel about the same thing.
So,
I hope that
so if I can jump in for just one quick second. What I think I need to say at this point in time is this is current litigation that's occurring and can lead to future litigation. Current appeals that can lead to future litigation. So if the board were seeking advice from me, my advice would be to not discuss this unless you are in executive session with county attorney. That's just my 2 cents. The board can do anything they want to.
and I understand that. I do. But part of what I heard was that our general counsel has already given some advice on this. And if he's already given some advice, he didn't consult with his board. And if he consulted with his board, I would include him. And I haven't missed anything. So however we want to go forward, I just want to make it clear that somewhere or another we're missing the ball.
Is it okay to say that we will be talking to council shortly?
Yeah, I think you can say that that you intend to talk to council about this. I think that's fine.
Exactly. The council about it.
I think it's okay for you to say that you can talk to council about it.
Say it, but it won't.
I'd like to talk to Mr. Doherty today, while he's here.
Sorry, I became a worm.
You want to talk? I think that we could go through and talk to council, then they can make recommendations. What we need to do. Does that make sense?
It does?
Is Mr. Farrell available right now?
Yes, he's available for the closed session that we have scheduled immediately following. He's going to make himself available.
When we go into closed session, he will be available.
That's new and different information.
It is.
Any more comments?
Are you available after closed session?
Any more comments, Commissioner comments?
Can we include Mr. Doherty in the closed session
Then it's no longer closed session.
There's no closed session there.
as an expert witness?
It's no longer closed session.
If I may, all of the responses to that motion to dismiss, including the original motion to dismiss, are currently published on the county website. So both the original motion to dismiss, our attorney's response, which I believe you gentlemen are probably not seeing, but it's there to be read. The county attorney's response, which actually happened before we had a chance to respond. And then we also submitted a subsequent response to the county attorney's request. If you did not see that, I'd be happy to provide you with that as well.
So my Mr. Dickerson,
My recommendation is, from common sense standpoints, we need to talk to the attorney in closed session for it.
thank you. That is my recommendation, that we talk to the county attorney before we proceed any further. If there's nothing else come up with recognitions, I'll go over announcements and upcoming events.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more quick thing, just to inform the board in lieu of the county appreciation luncheon that we've had many times before, not unlike what we've done the last 2 or 3 years. We're going to do the half day that equates to the same dollar amount that the county luncheon would cost. So we're going to do the half day if the board's okay with that.
Any comments on that? Have that. I'll go to announcements and upcoming events.
Looks like you skipped commission comments. I didn't hear you.
I asked for commissioner comments. Do you have one?
Yes, sir, I have two.
Okay, but I did ask for commissioner
I'm
comments.
sorry, I didn't hear you. Maybe I was focused on something else.
Okay, go ahead, make your commissioner comments.
I think it was Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday of this week. I was over in the parking lot by the post office. And I learned at that time that the planning department and inspections had moved. And there were people coming looking for it. And I was just surprised because I wasn't informed. And as a district representative and a county representative, at the minimum, I should have known. That's just the way I feel. And I just want to know what I'm going to tell them.
I'll have to go back to the county manager on that.
Commissioners, I do believe that the board was told that there would be a move from the old location to the new location to do the central permitting facility located in the bottom of the health department. I'm pretty sure I told the board about that. Is that?
I know you had told me.
It was in a meeting.
I think I brought it to the meeting.
I don't know if I can pull it up.
Well, maybe it did, as a senior citizen, sometimes you have to tell me things 2 or 3 times. I didn't know.
But I don't think there was any date.
No,
There was no date given to when it would happen, but we were told that they would be moving to do that central permitting.
And that's the part. The minimum, we should have been told a day. And I'm gonna bring this up as kind of a personal issue. I don't understand why with all of this stuff going on, that we didn't have a meeting to it. See, I could have been told then, or the board should have been told then that the date is imminent. And they're gonna move tomorrow, next week, or whatever, if we had a meeting. But it seems that for some reason, a lot of this stuff that we talked about today wasn't important enough for us to talk about 2 weeks ago. And my final comment just had to do with that parking lot layout at the post office. I've only been over here twice in the last month. I was gonna make a joking comment, I better not make it. Who engineered, who laid out painting that lot? I got a handicap stick on the car. So I can't go in one side where it says I should go in and circle around and get to the handicap parking. This week while we had voting going on, that side was blocked. I ended up in a traffic jam with 3 cars not knowing which way to go on Thursday because of the way that lot is laid out.
it's the exact same layout that was here prior to 2018. We took aerial photographs and looked, and
Somebody should have looked at it and said, maybe this doesn't work. Because those arrows, I'm telling you, you try to follow them in there, you'll have a problem. I have a problem. Maybe again, I can contribute that my senior years. I had a problem getting in and out of the post office twice. And one time I had to go to the back because the lot was full. And they had the back lot blocked. Now, I thought that belonged to the county. Does it not?
the postal service retains a certain portion of the parking lot because of their lease on the post office building itself.
So what reason did they give for blocking?
To continue their daily operations.
Operation, nobody parked back there but the employee, nobody else could get in there.
It's their parking, they pay for their parking.
Okay, I won't belabor the point was it didn't make sense to me, and I want to bring that up.
Anything else? Any other comments? I'll go to the upcoming events. November 11th, Veterans Day, county offices will be closed. November the 11th, Veteran Day program at the pavilion will be at 11 a.m. November the 17th at 6 p.m., we have a joint meeting with the town of Milton and Yanceyville at the Thomas Day Museum. November the 21st at 6:30, we have the commissioners meeting. On November 24th and 25th, the Thanksgiving county offices will be closed. On December the 2nd, at 6 p.m., we will have the tree lighting. And on December the 3rd, at 10 a.m. will be the Christmas parade. Then we'll be back here on December the 5th, 9 a.m. for commissioner. So I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Mr. Chairman, I make a
One thing I just wanted to note that if it's raining on Friday, the veterans program will be inside the building so that they won't have to be outside in the pavilion.
Inside this building? Okay, all right. Everybody got that, I assume. If it's raining, the veterans program will be in here. If not, if nothing else, I will entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we go into closed session, consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment or conditions of initial appointment, of an individual public officer, employee, or prospective public officer or employee, CGS 143-318, period 11, parentheses A, parentheses 6, and to consult an attorney with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to observe the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged. 143-318, period 11, parentheses A, parentheses 3.
Second. We have a motion and a second to go into closed session. We'll do roll call voting. Mr. Passendale. Aye. Mr. Ostrowski. Aye. Mr. Owen. Aye. Mr. Jeffries. Aye. Mr. Howell. Aye. Mr. Dickerson. Aye. Mr. Bay. Aye. Motion carries. We will now sit in closed session.